That was some absolute noodleage to get started. Hey, Ryan, what's up, man? Yes, that is Sorrow. Although I'm playing it in the... This guitar's in D. It's in E. I need the wang bar to do the thing correctly on there. I see some people tuning in. This is awesome. I'm just gonna... I got new streaming software, so I can do stuff like this. And I can say, NYC Geology, thanks for tuning in, even though you're from Boston. Boston? It's too early in the morning for me. Thank you. And Defcon Clark from Tennessee. What's up, man? What's everybody doing? I imagine in the States it is evening, probably past bedtime for for school kids and things like that. Yeah, what is the time? Probably, well, it's 11:14 here. So I imagine it's used to be a 12-hour difference. Maybe it's about 10 in the States or something like that on the East Coast. This guitar sounds really nice unplugged as well, considering it's a pancake, which is pretty amazing. So, well, there you go. That would explain the name. If you're originally from NYC and you're studying geology, that's what's your specialization, if you have one, in geology? I did a very, very small amount of it at uni as part of a general science course, and most of it went absolutely over my head. I know most people say it's rocks and stuff, but it's way more than that. Switch over to speakers. Sorry about that, mate. Hopefully people can hear what I'm saying at the moment, which is important. But what was I saying? Oh yeah, I was just talking about Sorrow. Nice, simple chords, but I don't have the wang bar on there. But luckily when I recorded that backing track, I did have the wang bar on there. So yeah, what's everybody up to? That's what I would like to know. 10:15 in NC. You know what? That sounds even better when you actually have a sound, which I should probably have right here. Neck pickup. I use the chemistry of metamorphic rocks minerals to explore the history of mountain building collisions on the NYC bedrock. That's amazing. Very, very cool. I know the northwest of Western Australia here, which isn't too far from where we are. I guess we're sort of like the southwest technically. But you have the Yilgarn Craton, which is like one of the oldest surviving intact big chunks of rock around here. So yeah, I imagine Australia would have some pretty interesting stuff going on there. What rig am I using? Let me drag it in for you, mate, so that you can see. I should be able to do that. Look at that. Nice and easy. So this is, let me show you what this is. I'll talk about the synth block doing magical, mystical things, but standard, for me anyway, the Mark IV model on the axe, my free IR in there. These are the live high and low cuts that I use, so it might sound a little bit dark if you're just listening on studio monitors. Bit of multiband, bit of reverb, bit of pitch detune, because of course you need the pitch detune. And then this little synth thing here is very, very cool. What it lets me do is kind of do the Digitech freakout thing. Kind of anyway, so that's pretty awesome. Yeah, just standard axe things, and I've got some pretty fun stuff, like I can dial up this Rockman inspired clean thing over here with some quad chorus from the multi-tap. Listen to that. thing is this sort of undulator thing, which Ryan will know. I pulled the times from the Eclipse. So it's a plex into a trem, doing some pattern trem stuff on here. Oh, and some shimmer reverb from this reverb block in here with some probably octave up and 2 octave up thing that they've added in there. So that's pretty sick. I did a preset build recently where I essentially took my normal preset with a whole bunch more stuff in it, and I kind of streamlined it with this gapless switching update. So like here, I'm using this quad tap chorus thing with the built-in Core to do like a rotary style thing. And I'll play a song in a second with some of that in there. And the last really, really fun thing is ring modulator set up as an octave down on my lead sound. And blending in some of that freak out soul thing from here. So yeah, that's what's going on there. I also have a wah in there, but the pedal is out of reach at the moment. So that's the rig that I'm playing through at the moment. Reminds me of Rush from the late 80s. Man, totally that clean scene on there is... I just want the time stand still thing. Totally. I mean, it's awesome because, you know, I can have one preset and I can do I can do my kind of like Petrucci cosplay with the Mark series thing. It sounds way better when I don't have my mic on, so I'll just do that. But then I can switch over to, you know, the big thick 80s style lead thing, or have the clean sound in there, have those Eventide style effects. It's pretty fun. And this is all on headphones as well, so you can get that crazy feedback thing. I have a few questions on here, and I did want to bring this up. Actually work with a friend on some rocks from the Pilbara. Yes. Yeah. Jack Hills, that's the one, yeah. And the Pilbara, we, obviously because it's so ancient, there's a lot of ore deposits there, and there's a lot of mineral deposits there, so we end up doing we play a lot of the mining camps and things like that. So if you saw my latest vlog, there was a bit of that action going on there where we got flown out to an island where, man, some of the geology there is just absolutely crazy. Question from Darren: is there a way to alphabetically sort the master setlist songs so you can find them easier at a gig? That's a good question, and I actually don't know. So I'll have to get back to you on that one. I haven't used the songs thing a whole bunch, to be honest. Yeah. The amount of switching you just did in that last 60 seconds takes an insane amount of setup to do without something like an axe. Yeah, man. You know better than anybody else, right? The rack thing. Although I got a switchblade recently, and I've got that set up to do some pretty cool stuff. And I've got the axe incorporated into the switchblade as well. So if I want, like, you know, for example, if I wanted to use the 2290 or the Eventides or the Lexicon stuff, I got that new L chorus in the rack as well, which sounds amazing. It's such a nice chorus. All of that can be routed either as kind of like an aux send with my Apollo. So I can put those things on anything. And if I mic a cab or I run a load box into the Apollo, then I can use those all in parallel as kind of aux sends. Or if I want to route my guitar into them and say run them in stereo into some stereo amps on the axe, I can do that as well. So that's kind of a nice, like, I'm actually so happy I got turned on to that switchblade and I found one, because it used to be just such a pain to set up. Like, if I wanted to use the rack, I'd have to recable everything. And then, you know, that takes that, I feel like, playing the rack aspect out of it. For example, do I have this routed correctly? Let me just double check that I'm not going to blow something up over here. Let's do this. Where are my Q outputs? I do need to send these. So, what are we feeling like? We feeling like some 2290? Well, let's do some old Eventide. Let's do that. I'll turn the H3000 on and I'll go to my H3000 preset over here. I might just go to a different thing on the axe. Just something a little bit simpler. Here we go. So this is literally just a Mark Series model and a cab. Okay, that sounds angry. And let's do this. Let's hopefully I've got this set up right. Now this is the question, do I have this set up right? I'm not seeing any input into the Tide. We'll get there. What's this? No, I'm an idiot. I've probably stepped on the wrong preset trying to do this in real time. Let's do... No, I'm not an idiot. No, I am an idiot. Let's try that one, shall we? This is promising. Okay, I've also got it set up to MIDI switch, so... Alright, so it'd be cool if I had some signal going somewhere. Yeah. I know what I've done wrong. I'm not routing it correctly in here. Yeah. So, I'll get to that. I should get to some other questions. Let's do this. We have a super chat. We'll have to set up the FM3 this week. 100%. I'm so stoked that you got one. And I will get around to actually getting this preset working. If you give me 1 second, I should actually have... You know what? Let's use the L chorus, because that's a fun one. Somewhere. You know, let's do this. Let's get a nice clean sound, and then we'll get this chorus working on there. Aha. Here we go. All right. So yeah, well, mate, while we're here, what questions do you have? Because I can, you know, we need to set up a few very, very specific sounds in there. And what is up, John? I hope you're moon pies. What a time to be alive. How's all the stuff we did this week going, mate? Alrighty. So this is an accurate statement. Well, Ryan, have you heard the video I did with the L chorus? Because it's pretty sick, man. It's a very, very, very cool unit. I'm going to turn it on. 1 sec. We want to do that. And then we want to do this. All right, let's do that. Yeah, the Switchblade has so many loops that it's easy to just be like, a new thing. I've got space for that on there, so let me do this. Here we go. Let's hear some. That's more like it. That is pretty darn tasty right there. Alright, let's try. What else can we do on here? What other questions do we have? Message in a bottle, please. Well, in drop C? Oh, actually, so if you're in a drop tuning with this, where is it normally? It's normally in C sharp, I think. So like, so I can play that chord right there, and I can play it. There we go. Ultimate cheat codes. A busy chorus. I like the way you've described that. Busy. Yeah. What an awesome way to describe that. I'm gonna kind of steal that, because you don't want busy chorus when you've got distortion. That's why people like the dimension style stuff so much. I think it doesn't sound busy. It sounds, yeah, like the TC. It kind of sounds hi-fi. So yeah, that's a really, really good point. What I can do is post some on the Discord. There might just be some hope, mate. Of course, if you're playing and you're putting in the hours on the fretboard, there's more than hope, way more than hope. So really, really quick, what I'm going to do is I'll bring up. Oh yeah, this is fun. So let's go back to my main preset, and I'll bring it up. So we got some absolute filth happening here. I can change scenes because I'm clever like that. Cool. So back on the axe, and this is a cool way to compare some stuff. So if you've got I think in my blocks library, here we go. So your typical stereo tri-chorus thing on some clean sounds pretty rad. Like if you do this, it's beautiful. And as Ryan said, busy. There's a lot going on. When you compare that with something like a dimension style chorus, especially on dirt. Like if you hear this, I'll bring the mix down a little bit, and you chuck some dirt over this. I'm going to turn the pitch detune off, actually. You go from this kind of thing. that kind of thing. Anyway, you can hear that tri-chorus is like bubbly, especially once you add complexity with the distortion in there. It gets pretty overbearing, which is one reason I think people are like, oh, I don't like chorus. It's like, you do like chorus, you're just not super familiar with all the different varieties of chorus out there. And hello to Scott from Washington. That's awesome. Being an Aussie, right? You hear about the USA and you hear about Washington, and they're always talking about DC. And it took me so long to figure out there's actually a state called Washington as well. And Washington looks absolutely beautiful as well. So dripping with corn syrup, yeah, man, 100%. Like, what one's real sugar and what one's corn syrup? Is pitch detune the corn syrup, or is pitch detune the sugar and chorus is the corn syrup on that? Yeah, man. But I like the old chorus setup. It's more versatile. Yeah, hey, you got to know what you're doing, right? And certainly you've taught me a lot about what's going on with these things, where it just used to be like, chorus, I like it or I don't. Whereas, the more you go down the rabbit hole, it's like amps and get, like amp tones and things like that, like a rectifier versus a Mark series versus a Marshall versus a Plexi versus a, Fender or something like that. Comb syrup. Yeah, that's an amazing in-joke right there. So I like it. I like it a lot. Yeah, exactly. You need the right, you need someone to do it for you first. And we have Dan all the way from Minnesota in the USA. I won't try to do the northern accent there and offend everybody, but somewhere I haven't been in the States is Minnesota, actually. So I always think of Home Alone. And where's Sheboygan? Is that in Illinois, or is that Minnesota, or is that Wisconsin? I'm gonna have to look this up in real time. Okay, it's in Wisconsin, but I always think of the scene in Home Alone, Gus Walensky. We had a hit in Sheboygan. There you go. It is in Wisconsin, just down the street from you in Taiwan. Awesome. What do you do there, Steve? Are you on holiday or are you working there? I know obviously semiconductor manufacturing is a massive, massive thing in Taiwan. I've been watching a channel on here called Asianometry, and I've learnt so much about TSMC because of it. It's kind of blown my mind, and like the strategic importance of all that kind of stuff as well. So very Kiss Me Poker Twist, man. It's almost time to watch that movie again. It's almost time. That and A Christmas Story and White Christmas have now become non-negotiable for me. Pro guitarist, dude. Tell me some secrets. Like, are you playing? Are you there visiting, or are you there full time? So, hey, Ryan knows. He knows about Asianometry. I love that guy's videos. It's so no nonsense and interesting. Use your panning 2290 on stage. Tell me about it, because some people have said, oh, you're never going to use these stereo effects on stage, And anytime I've used them, I've had the greatest time of my life. So John Candy, that's it. I nearly said Chris Farley, and that would be a grave error, but it's John Candy, isn't it? Yeah, the panning 2290, hey, let's bring this block up. Oh, and don't worry about my hand as well. It looks like I've punched a wall or something in a modulation-inspired rage. But I have eczema, so that's one thing. And I have this patch right here. I wear gloves in the gym, but still I get this patch right here where you hold a bar. And it flares up every now and then, so it's flared up at the moment. And yeah, just putting cream on it and covering it, and also making sure I don't rub, creams all over my guitar is also another thing. So, talking panning 2290, and it's amazing, and it's awesome. So what I'm going to do here is, I'll just pop it in. Let's go to the lead scene, because we have more dirt over there. And we'll just put a lazy little delay block in here, and we'll go to panning 2290 right here. Oh, look at this, it's set up and ready to go. Yeah. and I'm fairly certain there's some ducking on there. Yeah, look at that, 15 dB of attenuation. It's just the best thing ever, and it compares so well to the real one. I am super keen to try the 2290 pedal as well. Here we go. Played a big restaurant, 12 speakers. Yeah, hey, that Archon Clean is very, very good, isn't it? Maybe we should, while we're here, while we're hanging out, we're having a good time. It's been a little while since I've heard that Archon Clean. Archon Clean, let's reset it. I remember with this one, you kind of had to turn the master up a little bit on there to get... Yeah, there you go. Nice. And yeah, you put one of these new big verbs on, like the Mausoleum's pretty darn good. Oh, listen to that. Pardon me. Oh, that's good stuff. No worries, Ryan. Take it easy, mate. And I'll see you on the next one. Keep it greasy, mate. And be well. Take it easy, Florida man. Awesome. So, Steve, I like this Archon Clean. This is good stuff, man. Now, picture that with 12 speakers in 4 rooms. Oh, so is that a regular thing that you do? Do you play a lot of restaurants and things like that over there? And are you playing rock stuff or pop stuff or anything different? I'd be really curious to know. Obviously, in a restaurant, the focus is on the people eating, so not annoying them is going to be a big aspect of it. But I understand as well it might be a totally different thing. So we have Mod Scientist. Is it Mod Scientist? Yeah, awesome. We've been talking modulation so far, so nice to have you in here, mate. And Blues Player 789. I was always a mono guy. Since trying stereo after watching your videos, I can never go back. Man, it's just another realm, isn't it? Especially if you're playing... Here's the thing, right? Here's the thing. If you're playing rooms that are set up well, where you can hear the difference, it's impossible to go back, right? It's crazy how much more enjoyable the time-based effects and things are. Now, if you're playing rooms where it's like, you know, you have 5 minutes to set up and do a line check and then you go out and crack people's heads with heavy riffs, yeah, it probably doesn't matter, and mono is probably going to work really well, especially smaller rooms, especially venues where the PAs aren't great. And we all know we play a lot of those. Having said that, if you're on in-ears as well, stereo is so amazing. We've been... Actually, what I set up, we've got a Behringer XR18, and, you know, you can do lots of things with auxiliary sends and sub-mixes and stuff like that. So rather than... What I've done is I have an FM3 patch, which is stereo. So we're doing a good room. I can use that. And we did a venue called Badlands here a couple of times over the last... Actually, the last couple of gigs we've done have been in really good rooms. Badlands and another place here called the Rosemount. So I've been able to play in stereo. And it's been amazing being able to do that and hear the pitch detune and hear the panning delays on stage and fill up that extra space. But for a lot of the smaller gigs that we do, I just run mono. But on our in-ears, I use the XR18 because it's got some detune, it's got some reverb, so it's in stereo. So we have stereo ears. And then we've got like punchy mono out of the PA, and I make our ears way more wet than is what's coming out of front. So there's like huge hall reverb on the vocals, and the guitars sound gigantic. It's really, really cool. I really, really enjoy that. Miles Glover, awesome. I will check that out. Conscious Culture, good vibes. I've tried calendula before. I really, really like the smell of calendula. That's one of my favorite things in cosmetics. Yeah, it's... I mean, I know I'm already going to like that, so I'll do that. Thank you. I do all original shows with my heavy band and now doing a covers project. Nice, man. Yeah. I should check some of that out. Steve, you have stuff up on YouTube, in which case people go and check out Steve's heavy stuff, because I like the heavy stuff too. What do we have here? Nordic guitar. Bands on in monitors, undo stereo in my ears. Drummer has an E-kit. Oh, yeah, dude, that's another level, isn't it? Cam and I have been... Well, he's got an electric kit, and we've been using the Elk Live stuff, so we can just rehearse remotely, but he's been going through this thing where he's been playing our set list every single night, so he'll just send me a message and be like, I'm jumping on, and if I'm free, I'll jump on with him, and having his electric kit panned in stereo. So nice. We just literally put on the album and then play along, and yeah, it's pretty nice. Even just a subtle 20 milliseconds jumps out. Yeah. So if people are listening on headphones, the effect, I mean, you can hear I've got pitch detune and a bunch of stuff on here, but what you can do is, you take a delay, even just a digital mono delay, pan it out to 20 to 30 milliseconds. And if you're listening on headphones, it goes from this, which is awesome. Here's a good question from Scott Ethan Glenn. If you couldn't have an Axe-Fx, which modeler would you choose? GX100, Headrush, or Tone Master? Ooh. They each have their own kind of unique strengths there. The Boss, I think, would be the way I would go there because I'm more experienced with it. The Boss amps, their original amps are the way to go. I don't think their amps sound super accurate and they don't behave super accurately, but if you get, say, the X Mod, that's a great high gain thing. It doesn't sound like a Marshall, doesn't sound like a Boogie. It's got this kind of, generic isn't the right word. Let's say idealized. Just like, hey, you want a high gain sound? And you don't care if it sounds exactly like a Mesa Mark II or a Mark IV or a Marshall? Here you go, use the X Mod. The GX100, as I understand it, has a bug with the IR loading, which is a bit of a pain, but it sounds fine, in all honesty. The Headrush, to me, the strengths there are obviously the touchscreen is done really, really well on it, especially on the Prime. And then they've got all these like practice tools in there. And if you're really inexperienced with modeling, that's a really good way to go. Same for the Tone Master Pro. I think the Tone Master Pro at the moment is a little light on content, for use of a better term. The Fender amps sound pretty good. If you watch Sonic Drive Studios, he did a shootout with the Red Channel EVH, and it sounds really busted. And the Fender reps on the gear page were like, cool, yep, it's busted, we need to fix it. I really didn't like the JCM 800 in it. It may be one of the worst JCM 800s I've heard, but the Plexi sounds really good on it, so give or take there. So yeah, honestly, if I couldn't have an Axe-Fx, and I know there's going to be heresy to some people because I've said I'd probably just get a Quad Cortex because the high gain amps on that sound pretty good. I made a capture of my 88 MP1 on there, which sounds sick, and I love the way it sounds. Again, it's a little light on effects compared to the Fractal, or maybe I'd just go like Tone X and an H90. That might be another way I'd go. So the Tone X captures sound really, really good. Yeah. And yeah, obviously, as Blues Play said, the Line 6 stuff. Look, if I'm trying to replace the Axe-Fx 3, that's pretty much impossible, but FM3, I love the 3 buttons live. I love the minimalism when it comes to designing presets. So like I could do a gig with a stomp and that would be fine. And I could put the stomp in my guitar bag. So yeah, that might actually be the way I'd go. There's a few amps on there, which again, they sound a little bit funky, but there's enough good stuff in there, I think, to get you through. So this is from Mod Scientist. Till I started micro pitching. Yeah, it's one of those things, isn't it? Micro pitch, the red pill of guitar tone. I hate using that phrase, but it is. What is going on over here? I hear some cats absolutely running amok and going crazy. But yeah, once you've had micro pitch and detune, it's a little bit hard to go back, isn't it? I am planning on doing a modeling roundup. The other thing which is really good is the Saint Rock Amperium. I did a video with that. Great sounding Marshalls, great sounding Boogies. It supports, it's got its own capturing app in there, which is awesome. I've made some captures which I've shared of my amps, which I think sound really, really good. The grease section on it is really good. Like there's a Dimension chorus. The onboard UI is very, very hard to use, but it's got Bluetooth and there's an app. So that's another one. And it's coming out of Ukraine. I can't believe they're making what they're making while the war is going on. So massive props and respect to Saint Rock. That's another really solid option. Here we go. Nordic guitar, GT Core as an extra. Yeah, the GT Core as well is a beast, and it's got stereo ins as well, which I don't think, like, the full-size GT1000 has stereo ins via the effects loop, but the GT Core, like, input 1 can be stereo, so you can run it with a pedal board. There's so many options, isn't there? If UA made a JCM 800 or a Boogie Mark series as well, that would be a cool thing to see. Yeah, so lots and lots and lots of different things. You know, I'm glad I don't have to make that decision, put it that way. All right, I'm going to play something, because we've been chatting for a little bit. I'm going to play a Ragdoll song. I'm going to play the new single. You know, we have a brand new single out. It's called Sky's Limit. You can check it out on the channel if you haven't already. So, and we've just had Jimmy Biter tune in and say my name. So I'll say Jimmy. All right, I'm gonna play through Sky's Limit for you guys and use some of these sounds on here, which means I actually need to cycle back through the preset. Here we go. And for anyone interested, I need to put this preset up. We were talking about the L chorus earlier. I had a crack at trying to do the 3 LFO thing on there, but that'll be for a video for another time when I feel like I've got it a little bit closer. All right, let's do this. Let's go back to just me and let's play through. Here we go. Hell yeah, Sky's Limit. I'm going to leave this up, and thank you, Kane. And also a very good point from Nordic Guitar. Let's do this so people know what song I'm playing through. Wait. Before I start, here we go. I am waiting. Are older Axe-Fx units still viable? I think so, yeah. The 2 in particular, I think is great. I was gigging an AX8 until the FM3 came out, so I had the AX3 for about 2 years and was still gigging with the AX8. Still awesome. I've still got an Axe-Fx Ultra as well. Man, I've been meaning to do a video with it for about 2 years. I did an Axe-Fx Ultra in 2020 video, and I should pull it out again. So, all right, back to this so people know what we're playing through, and I'm just going to mute my mic and we'll go. How do I mute my mic? This is how I mute my mic. That's fun. Man, I like playing that song. So there you go. That one's called Sky's Limit. Let's do this. Just catching up on the chat. Yeah, so for anyone who didn't see my video with this, I got this a couple of years ago. I was chatting to, long story short, the guys who made this are in South Africa, started out as a father-son team, and this is the third guitar they ever made. And basically, they were sort of like, well, we don't know what we want to do or if it's even good. So I tried it out and gave them a whole bunch of feedback and did some videos with it. And from that, they've been able to start a business with it. And they make these, and they make the carbon necks as replacement necks. So this is all seamless. There's no join in there. But they also make a replacement carbon fiber neck for Strats, which is pretty awesome. And then they've also got a model which is basically their in-house version of that, carbon fiber neck, kind of traditional wood body, which is really, really awesome. And yeah, so they've been, making guitars and turned it into a business. And they said, oh, can you send the guitar back? Because we've figured out a bunch of extra stuff we know how to do. So it had mini humbuckers in it. And my main criticism of it was like, the mini humbuckers sound good, but I just find myself wanting full-size humbuckers in here. So it's got that, but then it's got this 6-way freeway switch on there. So the bottom 1, 2, 3 is a standard like Les Paul style thing, but you can also flick it up and go 1, 2, 3. And you've got, I think, parallel, both single coils, and then neck single coil on there. So if you hear the difference between, say, and I'll do this with a less greasified tone. Let's just do something a lot more open sounding. Take a Brit 800 or something on the axe. So if you hear bridge pickup, and then I'll switch over to bridge pickup parallel, then neck pickup single coil, then neck pickup without my mic on, to sully things. So the parallel mode, to me, it's like the series bridge humbucker is Angus and the parallel is Malcolm on there. It almost kind of sounds like a Gretsch, which is pretty interesting. So great sounding guitar. These pickups are made by Porter. And I believe this is called an overdrive and this one's called a clear. They make some really, really nice custom stuff. So, and we have Hanover Green, 91.6K. Yeah, it's crazy. I remember one of my friends joking. He's like, oh yeah, you'll get to 100K when I had 10,000. I was like, yeah, that's never going to happen. And I mean, less than 10,000 away. So that's pretty cool. Very, very pretty cool. Here we go. I'm wondering when my Axe FX3 or your Axe 2 will become vintage and rare. Hey, this is the thing, right? I'm sure in 2005, people were looking at Eventide H3000s and going, no one wants that piece of crap anymore. It's old and does this. And now people are spending $5,000 on them, which is pretty insane. So does digital gear ever become vintage in the same way that analog does? I never heard anyone talk about how bad they miss their Pod XT. We'll see. Hey, I'm sure people will be nostalgic for this kind of stuff, I mean, think about digital reverbs, right? Think about the Lexicon 224 and think about what was happening in the late 80s where as that technology was actively evolving, you had people coming out and being like, we've improved it, we've made it better, we've made it smaller, it's easier, you can have presets, you can have MIDI. And now there's so many guitar pedals which are like, no, the concert hall algorithm from the 224, that's the reverb that we want to emulate in DSP. So yeah, there's like a it's more than 20 years, probably like a 30-year cycle that all this stuff takes where, the pinch harmonics are girthy. And this guitar, it's, you hear it, I know there's the whole, it doesn't matter about tone wood kind of thing, and this isn't wood, but it's a material that's stiff and rigid and consistent. Sounds great acoustically, so it's going to probably sound decent plugged in. And you can change the pickups, you can tweak things on the other end, but I feel like you need that kind of spank. What do we have here from Miles? Do you use a specific string gauge? Elixir, 10 to 52. I use them for everything. Standard tuning, drop tuning. Yeah, the Porter pickups, yes, exactly. They should definitely be spoken about in glowing terms, like a lot of like your bare knuckle and your throwback and things like that. They do some great stuff. Hey, we have JD Analog in the chat. How are you, mate? If people haven't checked it out, you can watch my video on the Tone of the Gods pedal, which is a lot of tone in one pedal, and JD is an awesome player as well. So there you go. There can always be a use for some old piece of gear. I agree. I think Todd Rundgren was still using the original rack pod up until recently, which kind of speaks volumes. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. The guitar sounds good acoustically. It'll sound good plugged in. Oh, where'd that comment go? Yeah, and if it doesn't, then that's an easy fix, in my opinion. Harder to do it the other way around. Have you listened to the old guys? Montrose, Derringer, Mick Box. 100%, man. That's what I cut my teeth on growing up. I love all of those. Let's put Frank Marino and Robin Trower and Pat Thrall in the same context as well. Molly Hatchet. Now, all the unsung stuff from the late 70s and early 80s. We opened for Uriah Heep 8 or 9 years ago. They were really, really nice guys, and Mick has still got it. It's cool to see Mick Box mentioned, actually, because I feel like Uriah Heep is such an underrated band. That's a Molly Hatchet anyway, so this one is from Chase. Hey, I appreciate your appreciation, mate. They're fun to put together, and I always enjoy when people let me know that they actually use the stuff that I talk about. Here's one. This is from The Goose Chase Music. 1960 BV IRs. The one mic'd with the Manly Rev C might be my favorite IR ever. Oh, there you go. That was the last IR that we shot that day. So we did those. That's actually Troy's Marshall 1960 BV, and we used a bunch of mics in there, and he was like, oh, so he uses that Manly to record vocals with. So if you just listen to Sky's Limit, that was recorded through the Manly, and yeah, that's his go-to vocal mic. Sounds amazing. But we were like, oh, should we make an IR of that? So yeah, I am kind of curious. Let me do this. Do I actually have that one on my axe? So let's go looking through the cab block. And let's look up Manly. Hey, here it is. Bada boom. No idea what it sounds like. Been a while. Ah! That sounds good. Why have I never used this IR? Let's hear it without my mic on. Yeah, that's absolutely sick. Thank you for that. I'm going to have to actually use this IR a little bit more. I totally forgot about that. Like I said, that was just a single, while we're here, plug the Manly in. I don't think we even listened to it mic'd up. We just shot the IR and that was it. So there you go. A happy accident. Thank you for that. Blue Oyster Cult. Yeah, bro. One of my favorite bands. So good. While we're talking the BOC in this tuning. 1 second, how would I do this? And that sounds a little bit too Lydian to me, doesn't it? Why have I not played that? Oh man, this is Scott, Ethan, Glenn. You are the man. First concert was Backstage Passes, Molly Hatchet, and Blackfoot. That's amazing, dude. That's amazing. I don't really know what else to say about that. So my uncle and my dad are really big Hatchet fans and Southern rock fans, and they used to cover a lot of that stuff when they played in bands in the late 80s and early 90s. And yeah, so I just kind of grew up listening to all of those bands. So good. So good. Like, everything from that little era was just incredible. So here we go. The Goose Chase music. Flub. Yeah, dude, that's awesome. So that's the Manly is a condenser, or is it a tube? I think it's, here we go. It's a tube mic. Interesting. Very, very interesting. Yeah, and if you want to buy one of these in Australia, it's like, well, they're a lazy $4,000 for the base model over here. So, yeah, that's some nice primo tone. Yeah, Ricky Medlock's the man. Like, can play it all. So he played drums in Blackfoot, is that right? And then guitar in Skinnerd? What is going on outside? I know what's going on outside. Is that someone using a lawnmower, or is that someone on a dirt bike? It could be either or. I don't know if you can all hear that. So, yeah, that's cool.
I think it's a saw.
It's a saw. Someone's cutting a tree down. Well, hopefully it's a tree and nothing else, and it's not full Texas chainsaw on us. We'll soon find out. Yeah, Ricky Medlock's awesome. Man, how does... I'm just going to learn something live. I just want to cheat and reference this BOC thing on here. Let's do this. We don't need to see Axe Edit while I do this. Because this was a song that... yeah, okay. I'm playing it in the wrong key. I'm confusing it with something else, so... Such a good lead. Oh man, why do I keep missing that? And then it's into that. Yeah, that A minor. Kind of light power pop reggae thing, and yeah, a lot of other awesome bits like what is it? 7 Screaming Dizbusters, the blue and the black, or is it the black and the red? I can never remember. Where on earth have I gone? Where's the comments in here? So, hey, Drew, what's up, man? Isn't 4K the starting price of everything in Australia? Salt, pepper, toilet paper, a cup of coffee. I've seen Joe Bonamassa a couple of times here live, and he's told the exact same joke about the price of a cup of coffee. In fact, the show has been exactly the same show, and it's been brilliant. He's amazing at what he does, but yeah, I enjoyed that. The first time I thought it was like, this guy gets it, he's funny, but yeah, clearly he's got some buddies here who are like, man, everything's expensive. G'day, eh? We got Hit Metalworks from Vancouver Island. Play Godzilla. Let's see if I can remember how to play Godzilla. How can I play it in... Trying to do it in a drop tuning. Man, this is crazy. So my company's in Melbourne. I work internationally, and after one of your podcasts, I told them Perth coffee is better. I mean, they could have threatened you with expulsion right there, couldn't they? Because that's a national heresy. It's also true though. So, yeah, here we go. Hey, we got another super chat from Peter. Thank you, mate. Building a carved top guitar with EMGs to relive Knopfler 80s and early 90s. So you're doing the full Pensa Sir thing. I highly approve. Any thoughts, tips, or ideas? Also, if you have a choice mic cab in another room or IRs. Ooh. Let me answer the second question first. If I had a choice mic cab in another room or IRs, it depends what I'm trying to do. So, oh my God, sorry, Peter, I'm going to come back to this, but Steve Williams says, we play Shooting Shark, and that is my favorite BOC song, and I thought no one else knew it. I don't know, there's something about that song that takes me somewhere. It's amazing. Absolutely amazing. Dude, we're friends for life right now. That's the best BOC thing. So, yeah, doing the Pensa Sir thing. Listen to Shooting Shark by BOC. I think it's Randy Jackson on bass doing all the slap stuff. Steve, you know the Pink Floyd song Sorrow? Does Shooting Shark kind of remind you of Sorrow in the way it's laid out with the synth pads have a similar atmosphere to them? And yeah, let me know, because those two songs remind me of one another. Anyway, building a carved top guitar with EMGs to relive Knopfler 80s and 90s. Thoughts, tips, or ideas? Also, if your choice of mic cab in another room or IRs. I think if I had to just quickly track something, then the IRs are awesome. I can just plug in and go, and I've got my, couple of go-to IRs that I know will sound very, very good, and they'll work with the amps, and having that fixed thing is good. If I've got time, having a cab in another room and some mics to choose from is a really nice way to go, because you've got so much, moving the mic a little bit in the context of the song. If you've got the mix set up and you're like, cool, I want to dial in a guitar sound and go, and it's not quite happening, then you can go and move the mic a little bit, and it might just absolutely push it into that sweet spot. Whereas obviously if you're with IRs, moving the mic is impossible, and you might have to rely on EQ or things like that. Either's pretty good, I think. I think they both get it. Aldo Nova is on Revolution by Night. I didn't know. This is the undercurrent, right? People forget. People just go, oh, the 70s, yeah, that was... what did we have in the 70s? We had Led Zeppelin, and then at the end of it, we had Van Halen, and that was kind of it. And then the 80s was, again, you had Van Halen at the start and Guns N' Roses at the end and Bon Jovi in the middle. But all these... BOC, Aldo Nova, all this kind of deep cut stuff. I call it deep cut stuff. They're not deep cuts. They were super, super popular at the time. It's it's stuff people don't talk about as much. It's that filter that happens where people go, oh, the 80s, Metallica, Guns N' Roses, Bon Jovi, Def Leppard, that's all there was. Saw Aldo Nova open for BOC, yeah. Astronomy is another great one too. Totally agree. Aldo Nova being on Revolution by Night, I can hear it. That would not surprise me. That's pretty cool. Here's a gear question from Chris Dover. Do I think there will be a Line 6 HX Amp 1 next? I wouldn't be surprised if they don't do it, but I wouldn't be surprised if they do it, because they've got the box. You could take the same box with the same features and just have it load an amp and a cab block, and it would probably be a really good competitor to some of the UA stuff and other amp in a box pedals there. In fact, all those amp in a box pedals should basically be that. I get the UA thing where they're like, no, we want it to be authentic. So if you're used to playing a Fender Deluxe, then it behaves like a Fender Deluxe. But it's digital stuff. You should have that ability in there. Anyway, I do want to go back and finish the second part of Peter Urban's question there. One thing with EMGs, and people say they make everything sound the same. They have a very flat response. So depending on the rig you're using, you might really like that in a guitar. If you think about a Fender style thing, which I'm assuming you're doing, and if you're going to go kind of single coils, it might be cool to go humbucker in the bridge, like an 89, something that you can split and then have 2 single coils in the middle and the neck. That way you get stratty sounds, but you've got the ability, if you don't want to just do Knopfler, then you can go to the bridge wide open and you've got a great humbucker on there, but then you can set it up to split it with a 5-way and get the all-important jangle tone, right? If you want to do that kind of thing. So, yeah, that would be a good way to do it. Again, you know, you could probably go bridge humbucker, roll the tone control off, and you get your Brothers in Arms Les Paul style thing, which is still one of my favorite just guitar sounds ever. Like, I kind of... Look, Dire Straits are one of those bands where, like, it's hit and miss for me. I need to be in the mood to listen to them, but I'm always in the mood to hear that intro to Brothers in Arms. One of the great guitar sounds. And it's the song that made me go, I get it now. This is why everyone talks about Mark Knopfler. He is understandably awesome. So, yeah, that's what I would go for. And then the rest of the guitar, you know, just make it look awesome. Because I love the look of those old Pensaceurs. I remember seeing that. I was like maybe 14 or 15, asking my dad, I was like, I didn't know Fender did carved tops, and he was like, mate, that's a Pensaceur. Look them up, and then always wanting one. So, yeah, that's awesome. Alrighty. Here we go, Peter. It'll be 85 SASA with a special circuit for the bridge middle. Yes. Mate, you don't need my advice on this. You got it figured out. This is perfect. Absolutely perfect. To make the humbucker quack with the middle pickup. Yep. Very, very nice. And the cool thing about EMGs is if you've got the quick connect on there and you don't like the SAs or you don't like the 85, you can just swap them out. It takes as long as it takes to take the strings off the guitar. So, yeah. And I imagine it'll be like how you're mounting the pickups. Like no scratch plate, obviously, if you're doing the carved top thing. So that's pretty cool. Wizenby, the Wiz, the man, the myth, the legend. How's the Axe 3 treating you, mate? I've been loving the spiral. No, it's a good spiral. It's not a downward spiral. It's an upward spiral from try the FM3. It's not bad. It's not bad. To just go all in and get the big dog. This is a question from Danny Brickwell. How has the Lassie performed as far as the no warping, hectic durability thing goes? Any way I can cut down on maintenance is super valuable. Amazing, man. Amazing. Like, I did we were talking earlier, I did a fly gig up in the Pilbara. So, what's the weather like in Perth at the moment? I want to know this in Fahrenheit, because I know a lot of people are watching from the States, but how's the weather today? So today it is 26 degrees Celsius, which is in Fahrenheit, I'm guessing probably the 80s or something like that. I should be able to do this off the top of my head. 78. Okay, so it's very, very moderate today. It's really, really nice. When we flew up, I want to say it was like maybe about 20 degrees Celsius, so it was kind of chilly. You know, you're probably 60s or something like that. Yep, so 68 Fahrenheit, 20 degrees. When we went up to Barrow Island, it was like high 30s, so pushing 100 degrees Fahrenheit there, and humid and dusty and like just everything you don't want with a guitar. And we had to fly up there, so it's in the cargo hold of a plane, which is in the air, getting really, really cold. It was amazing. I pulled it out of, I didn't bother. You know, there's always a tip. If you fly with a guitar, slacken the strings on it. I didn't even slacken the strings. I just left it in, for that gig, D standard. No. I think I had it in drop C. And then we do a lot of covers for those gigs, so a lot of it's in D standard anyway. But if you watch the video that I did, the vlog, I pulled it out of the case and it was in tune. So that was pretty awesome. The only thing that has knocked it out of tune is bumping the headstock. But I've got a soft case where the kind of headstock sits so none of this gets touched, which is good. But phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal. I've done that gig a bunch of times with my McCarty, and, you know, either I get up there and it's buzzy, or I get back and the guitar's buzzy and it needs a reset just from the extra humidity and heat and, you know, being really, really cold, really, really hot. It sort of goes on the plane, gets chilled out, and then it gets put on the back, or it just gets put in the boot of a, you know, truck or something like that, and it's in the sun. It just kind of gets baked. So yeah, those are not kind to those guitars, whereas this is just, it didn't care. It felt like a little bit cold when it came out. That's probably the only thing there. It's only money. Exactly. It is only money. That's what I tell myself all the time. You know, you don't want to die wondering with this stuff. That's the most important thing. Here we go. We're talking about the EMGs as well. Maybe a pretty hate machine. Hey, I like the reference right there. Very, very nice. EMG 89 is an 85 that's splittable. I have an old guitar with the 89 SASA. So there you go. That's a good one. So anyway, the Lassie's been awesome. I'm kind of starting to play it in, isn't the right word on a guitar that's carbon with stainless steel frets. It doesn't really get played in, but I'm getting more comfortable with it. And because it's, again, super, super thin, one thing that I've noticed is like my right hand sits closer to my body when I play it live, which is less comfortable in some ways and more comfortable in other ways. It just means I have to adjust the height of the strap so I can play it a little bit lower and look cooler. Because normally, you know, you think about like a PRS or a Les Paul is sort of out here, so the physics of your shoulder, you know, sticking out, you want it in a place where your shoulder's not going to be like up in this position the whole night. So yeah, it just kind of sits in a different place. So I just have a different strap for it, and that fixed that really, really well. And it's got the lumen lay stuff on here, which you can't see at the moment, but yeah, having it kind of blacked out is, I think it's a cool look. So that would be blasphemy on this guitar, swapping out the pickups. Send your pics. Yeah, please do. I'll look forward to it. Yep. Vito used those when he was using EMGs. Man, Vito brother. I'm glad there's some appreciation for Vito again. This is nice. Where can I find your contact info for online lessons rates? If you go to the channel and look, it's my name, but one less D at gmail.com. So just TOD, Leon TOD at gmail.com. Send me an email and we can sort it out there. Yeah. Again, so one thing that I feel like is missing from the so-called like tone wood debate, right, is, okay, wood is a material used for construction, and there are material properties that are measurable about it, just like anything else. So, you know, what things are measurable and what parts of those contribute to the sound of the guitar is one thing, but also like when you get a guitar, you have to play it and it has to be playable and it has to have, you know, there's tactile things about it that are really, really important for us as guitar players that are also quantifiable, right? So that's important as well. And things like rigidity and density and these slightly more abstract material properties are what we should be talking about when it comes to construction of instruments, which I guess is where you could argue that, well, tone wood, it's not some magic thing. You either have, you know, pieces of wood which have desirable properties or not. And if you have wood with those properties, then you can have composites and like non-organic materials with those properties as well. But, you know, we're not here to talk rationally, are we? We're here to talk about our thoughts and our feelings. Have you had your room acoustically tuned? Not tuned. It's a pretty non-ideal space, to be honest, but it's fine, and I'm used to the quirks. There's a real particular resonance in here, which comes from the shape of the room, but I have some bass traps in the corners, and I've got some thick curtains, and I've got the couches there, and, you know, again, I'm not mixing commercial grade stuff in here. I'm making YouTube videos showing people how to pull sick tones, and I can get the sick tones out like in the box, or I've got a cab in another room, so that has a mic around it and some foam and things like that to basically take the room out of it anyway. So yeah. Oh, here we go. We have Transcend Production. Love your vids and playing, but guitar is always a bit harsh no matter the gear. Just curious if that might be the case. No, it might be the room, but keep in mind that a lot of the room is taken out of the equation. So I think it is probably just taste that it comes down to. I've had people tell me my sounds are way too bright for their taste, and I've also had people tell me that my tones are way too dark for their taste. And the number of comments that I read a week where I'll do a video and someone will say way too bright, way too dark in the same thing has kind of resigned me to the fact that it doesn't really matter, A, what I think about it, or B, what anyone else thinks about it. People are going to have different opinions on it, and that's totally fine. So I could put a bunch of work into it, but I think the reason it's harsh is probably my hearing. Like the level of deafness that I've incurred over the years is probably the big factor, and like what I like sound wise, you know, like I like brighter sounds, and I play in a band with a really loud drummer and a really angry bass player. So yeah, you know, exactly. You can't, you know, if it's anyone's fault, it's definitely my fault. You can't please everybody, but again, that's part of the fun with it, you know, the fact that someone cannot necessarily like the way it sounds, but still get something out of it, I think is important. I'm not here to just be like, here is the best guitar sound. No, it's like, here's a sound I like, and here's how I get that sound. And if you want to get a slightly different sound, you're aware of all the moving parts that go into it. So that's a really, really good question, a really good point. So I appreciate that, Transcend Productions, and I give you 1, 2, 3 thumbs up back as well. It's a really, really good point, and I feel like it's something that, again, can be discussed as like, oh, hey, if I was doing this, I would do it differently, but I get why you did it. So, awesome. Well, there you go. I would actually love to get my ears measured. I think they're no worse. Like, I definitely have friends whose hearing is worse than mine. I don't think my hearing is pristine from years of playing Marshall amps and loud gigs, but I'd love to know how bad it actually is, because I'm probably wrong. It's probably absolutely shot, and you know, one of those things where I don't exercise, I'm perfectly healthy, and then you measure their blood pressure and stuff like that. It's like, oh, dude, you should get on it. So I'm not saying I don't exercise, by the way. I'm just saying as a thing. So yeah, Fender 1960. Again, I appreciate it, mate. That's awesome. This is the best comment so far of the chat, though. How sound absorbent are the cats? Is there some kind of way, like, is there a calculator on the internet where you can plug in the material properties of something and figure out how sound absorbent something is? I'm going to actually look that sound absorbent calculator, because I know how much my cats. Oh, have a look at this. There's a sound absorption. This is great. There is. Check out 15 acoustic wave. Yeah, there's a whole thing on here. So I imagine the cats are quite absorbent when it comes to, you know, they're fluffy and they're meaty and they've got a lot of water in them at all times. So yeah, that's a very, very good one. I'm sure somebody, or maybe an audiologist, could let us know how sound absorbent the average cat is. That would be very, very interesting. Transcend Production, just wonder if it was a rumor, trick in the ears, not a displeasure or anything. No, man, dude, I totally appreciate it. And, you know, feedback when it's actually informed, and, you know, there's a type of feedback where someone's just like, sounds bad, sounds good, that you have to filter through, where you're like, you know, someone can tell me I'm the greatest guitar player on earth, but, you know, if I heard that when I was 15, I would believe it. But now I'm just kind of like, hey, I appreciate what I hear in that comment isn't that I'm the greatest guitar player on earth. It's that, like, you like my playing. Cool. I really appreciate it. When I hear that, it's sort of like, not like you suck. It's one of those like, hey, there's stuff that I'm hearing that I'm not loving. So what factor is that? Again, is it taste, or is it the room, or things like that? So yeah, look at us behaving well on the internet. This isn't meant to happen. There you go. Dragon Biscuit. Absorption coefficient of cats can indeed be measured. There you go. Does it distinguish between breeds? Oh, again, we were talking about tone wood and materials. I reckon there are genetic factors of particular cats, which will lead to them having slightly different material properties. That would be the way to go with that one. Hologram's new pedal, yeah. Did you also have the same? Has anyone? It's the Chroma console. I also started watching the video, like, oh well, who cares? And then when they were going through some of their gesture function on there, and the way it's like, it seems like it is laid out really, really well. And there's some kind of unique features on there, and there's some other features on there where it's like, you know, just you just know that it's going to be one of those things that's fun. Like the microcosm is fun. It looks really complicated, but you spend a bit of time with it and you get used to it. And it's definitely one of the coolest pedals that I own, and something, something that I can see hanging on to. I bought it because I wanted to try it and I knew I could get my money back on it. But yeah, it's, again, like so many things, it's like, it's going to stay. So I'm an audio engineer, so my feedback is usually that sounds good, sounds bad. Hey, me too. Like if I'm, like someone's in here and they want to record something, and, or I'm cosplaying as a producer, let's say it that way. I don't want to call myself a producer, but I've been in plenty of those situations where it's like, hey, don't do that, do this instead. There's a way of working sometimes where it's just being direct to it. Kindness in your chat speaks volumes to the kind of people that you attract, which speaks volumes to the kind of energy you put out there. Thank you, mate. I really, really appreciate that. So, this is way more important to me than clicks on videos or ad revenue or any of that stuff that, hey, if that's why you do YouTube or why you do guitar YouTube, more power to you. There's no right way to do this, but this is why I do it. So we were going back to the hologram. Yeah, it seems like, I mean, they're just a company that knows their audience really, really well. They seem to be doing some excellent stuff. There's companies who do great stuff but don't know their audience, where they'll put out something amazing and then the next thing they do, they're like, bro, what happened? Whereas hologram just kind of seem like they know exactly what they're going for. And I like stuff that at first seems underwhelming that turns out to be incredible. Like FabFilter are a great example of that. Like they just put out a new reverb, right? And I looked at it and went, another reverb plugin. Cool. Awesome. And then I watched some videos on it and I was like, oh, that's cool. Oh, that's cool. And then it's like, I need to try this. This thing looks amazing. So, and Heavy Brettle, mate, you made a chat. This is awesome. How's your day going, bro? And how's the new guitar? I'd love to hear about it in here. So, yeah, even if you're not leading or innovating, I should have added that comment in there. Just sort of the point, That's the ethos, the spirit in here of rock and roll, I guess. The pitch and dirt on Chroma seems like a good octave riff use, almost synths, but I feel like you can make really chunky riffs with it. I agree. And look, I have my thing that I do that I'm known for on YouTube, right? And we did a podcast with Michael Nielsen recently, who's, is so amazingly good at what he does on YouTube. But he was talking about how, a lot of the tones he's known for are the sort of like the 80s tones, but he's a guy when he's producing who loves fuzz tones and loves the kind of dirty, janky stuff. So, I know a lot of people watch me because they want to hear this stuff. They want to hear pitch detune and they want to hear Kerrang and they want to hear scoop and stuff like that. But, some of my favorite sounds are these kind of things. Here we go. Like this, you've got just some big, funky, dirty, disgusting. And then, add some octave junk to that. There's another, I've got a pretty funky ring mod style thing in here as well. Where is it? This one. Yeah, this is, so this kind of stuff as well. Where is my ring mod? Here we go. Let me add this in. Bear with me, folks. We'll do the octave kind of thing. So, just straight up doom. I'm going to mute my mic for a second. Let's do this. How good was that noise at the end on the ring mod? That was awesome. Rat Attack chorus type stuff. Yeah, yeah. I got a, if you're familiar with it, the GFI Synesthesia, which has some really good, like there's settings in there for like lo-fi vinyl and all these kind of things, which is awesome. A Candlemass, exactly, Brett. Loving the new PRS. Blown away on the neck, and it's the first gloss finish neck that feels Saturn. You got the SE Custom, am I right? Yeah, I love that little ring mod. And you can even do a kind of trem or chorus thing with the ring mod, which I really like. Like if you set the rate really low. Where's the kind of trem? Yeah, here we go. There's a ring modulator doing tremolo. I like the unpredictability in there. That's very, very fun. R2-D2, exactly. Exactly. Where are we at? I feel like I missed something. Sub-octave with subtle dirt on that thing would be tasty. Yeah, mate. Sorry, Fender 1960 CS. I missed this. I was talking to Cordy earlier today. Shout out to the Chord Master. What an absolute madman. I think no one works harder than that guy at the moment. It's incredible. Car Roma. Now, the Roma is a Fender Vox hybrid thing, right? Is it like a Fender Deluxe style front end with an AC30 style back end, or is it the other way around? Let me bring it up. And actually, I've got a nice kind of clean Fendery preset here. Let's try that. There we go. That's the old. That's the band commander. So let's go Cara Rambler. Car Ambler. Okay. Let me turn the level up on this thing. That's nice. That's very, very nice. Let's give it a bit of dirt. Smooth as. What do I want less of? I think I want a little less bass. What does a mids do on this thing? Oh, hello. That sounds kind of voxy. There we go. That's... What do I like more? How does that sound with a bit of... like a bit of tube screamer up front? Hell yeah, that's awesome. I like that. I like that a lot. Cake would be tasty up front there. Oh yeah, that's nice. Probably sounds even better when I don't have my mic on, so you're getting me going. Very, very nice. Let's catch up. Smooth like butter, exactly. This is interesting. one more thing on the Rambler. Bright cap up to around 175. Let's do that. I'm just going to switch scenes because we're doing the tweakies over here. So I've got this with an EV IR as well, which is probably not authentic. Let's... Oh, yeah. Dude, yeah. That's the vibe. Probably give it a bit more bass. Let's hear it without my mic. Great amp model. Man. This is the stuff that I like. So, yeah, it's got that kind of... If I was in standard tuning, playing tightrope would be a whole lot easier. There we go. That's killer. That is absolutely killer. I really, really like that. What's this? Giant Dead Body. Best name ever. I agree. Super Hendrixy. Man, thank you, Fender 1960 CS. This is awesome. And I've got a very interesting thing here. Transcend Production. I need to send you a schematic and pic of how I made my studio board, a giant dead body, but never seen anything like it. I want the synesthesia, but the poly kind of takes care of most mod. Yeah, it's... They have a lot in common there. And because the poly's got... all the weird modules in there, like the tape stop in it. I still haven't heard anything else really do anything like that, where you can be playing, get the kind of tape rundown thing. The rotary in the poly is really, really good as well, based on some physical modeling. Yeah, great pedal. They've added, I don't know if the full firmware's out, I haven't checked recently, but I think it is actually. Like they've got some nano neural amp modeler captures in there as well. And you can go on their website and check out the... they've got like a guided NAM profiler in there, which I still need to try. So I dig this, man. This is really, really good. I'm going to save this where it's at. Like a huge thing. So here's the deal, kids. Let's save this to a new preset number. I'm just going to call it Rambler. That's awesome. So one thing that I have noticed, and I'm sure this comes from doing heaps of live stuff where you need the aggression, so that kind of thing, right? There's this thracky, like 3 to 4 to 5K thing in there, especially if I take this parametric off, right? The sizzle, it's greenbacks, 100%. And this is Transcend Production. It is what I'd be really curious to know, because my two favorite IRs in here for dirty stuff is this greenback IR that I made, which is like, you know, it's got the sizz. But I've got this EV IR, which is really smooth that I use for clean stuff. So have a listen to this, the difference. I'm going to mute my mic, and then we'll start with the greenback IR. And we'll go to the big fat EV thing. I'd be really curious to know how you like the EVs. kind of thing. Yeah. That 4K thing in there is like, I've got a little. I went through with the greenback IR. And I found the really, really nasty bits. So 3.6 and 5300. I could probably pull a little bit more of those. I'm being a bit conservative there with it. But hearing the, like with EVs or really dark speaker IR, you can actually turn up that 6600 slider on the Mark series, which is kind of nice. It's a different thing. And I feel like for the smooth lead thing, the EVs are way better. I found that going with the darker IRs live, I've had complaints from the front of house guys on there. So, yeah, that's why I've been using the greenbacks. I kind of like greenbacks, but also they have the ice pick in the ear thing sometimes. Probably not as much as V30s, which you hear a lot of people complain about that thing that they have. But yeah, that's crazy. Crazy how much of a difference the IR makes, but then how quickly you can get back some of the things that it's missing on there. So, and Brett, I'm so glad you appreciate all the noodly goodness. What's the silliest lick I can play for you? Oh yeah. So here's a Paul Gilbert thing. It's not the pot on the guitar. I think that's actually the switchblade doing that. I need to fix that. Oh, it's all falling apart. There we go. Personally like the rolled off top because it tends not to be needed with the band at any time. Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? I've spoken to different people. I have a few buddies who are in like touring bands, pretty big touring bands, and this is why this stuff is so interesting. Why there's no universals, right? One of them is like, oh, dude, the trick is, and they both use fractal stuff. One of them was like, yeah, the trick is I just have a really subtle low cut on the guitars and we leave the top end really open because it sounds more like an amp. And then someone else who was like, nah, man, I bring the high cut down to like 5K live because you don't need it. So, both of them sound pretty amazing live. Actually, shout out to Angus Clark, who's in Trans-Siberian Orchestra, because the 5.1K thing I stole off him and Transcend Productions, what I've been doing. So this was my old live EQ on here, but then I've got this where I'm not even using EQ, just in the cab block, just slicing off around 5100, and it's been working really, really nicely live. I don't know, I think I'm with you with the high end thing where you just don't need it with a band live. You're just going to hurt people's ears. And yeah, you get. Should turn my mic back on. Yeah, it's interesting. I find that this kind of stuff, it's so curious learning about it and then getting to try it live and then either loving it or not loving it, and having a box like this where you can just flick back and forth and figure out what works best. So yeah, it's all of these things. Chasing tone is an iterative process. And Heavy Brettle, some Warlock. Dude, what is the album that I own on CD? I'll get to that one. Completely depends on how much grit. The more it's rolled off and ripped. Yeah, I think I'm with you, dude. It's like I was describing as an analogy to one of my students who wanted to know about, like, again, because of this, like, why does distortion do what distortion does? And, we use the analogy of, like, if you imagine a mixing board where you've got the fundamental and then all the different overtones. And then as you add distortion, it sort of like turns the overtones up. And, you've got a point on the desk where you can't go any higher, and eventually they just all get slammed up, and it can sound way too complex or muddy. But having that like overtone mixed with distortion and then into modulation distortion, there's a lot going on. So sometimes it's easy to just be like, you know what, we don't need that. Yeah, it's the Mark series. Again, it's a USA lead, Brett. I'm stoked that you like it, mate. So I Go on the Moon by Warlock. The Warlock album, it's the one that has We Are All We Are. All We Are. Bit of Doro Pesh. Awesome. They're like, female-fronted Scorpions to me. All We Are, and is off the album Triumph and Agony. That's the one. What is the one you're talking about off? Yep. Kiss of Death. Yeah, man, I'm amazed that I was able to find that on CD. True as Steel is the other one. That's the one that has Fight for Rock on it. True as Steel, Love Song, yep. Igloo on the Moon. That's the one. I don't know how to play it, but I probably should figure out how to do it. That's like, that album has some of my favorite gang vocals ever. It's awesome. Really, really awesome. Igloo on the Moon from Heart of Steel. There you go. Fantastic. Less gain gets heavier tones. You need some gain, right? You need grit. It's interesting talking about like the texture, like talking about texture as a thing with distortion, and I feel like it's something that people who don't like high gain tones or don't like a lot of gain kind of don't get. Is that like, yeah, there's so many different textural things you can do with grit and dirt and distortion, and yeah, it's awesome. All right, gonna hit the bed, mate. Thank you so much for the car tip on there. Have a great night, and I'll do another one of these very, very soon. Are you keeping it simple live, just stereo direct, or do you do any wet, dry, wet? Nah, it's like I said, if we're in a room where stereo is actually going to be effective, I'll just do stereo. Wet, dry, wet. Wet, dry, wet makes sense if you've got an... Like, I like it. I've tried it before in a room with multiple cabinets, and it's awesome. But I feel like wet, dry, wet was something that was developed to get around the fact that amps either didn't have effects loops or had crap effects loops, and that the effects sucked a lot of tone. So if you put them in line, it wouldn't be really nice. Basically, using studio stuff, to me, it's like... It's one of those things where it's... Wet, dry, wet is kind of like using aux sends for your guitar rig, where you keep the center dry and then you leave it up to the sound guy to control the wetness. So I can totally understand that it works well. And Nordic Guitar, thank you so much for tuning in. Yeah. Anyway, the wet, dry, wet thing, yeah, it's I'm fundamentally too lazy to worry about it. And if you've got transparent effects, or you've got an all-in-one modeler, then stereo gives you the dry center image anyway by default. So, yep, definitely. I think that heaps of gain makes up for it, so I don't hear a lot of high gain sounds that are a little weak. Yeah, it's, again, texture, especially when you're double or quad tracking guitars, that clarity is important, and accuracy is important with it as well. So I'm sure Transcend Production knows exactly. There's a difference between just being able to play in time in the studio is not a universal thing, and it's something I learnt the hard way, and probably the hardest lesson I had to learn and go away and work on was just rhythm guitar playing in the studio and being able to nail doubles and quad tracks. And I think that's really where my playing, for use of a better term, matured from someone who could do a lot of stunt guitar stuff and, run around like a maniac live, to actually just being able to play the parts in time. It sounds like such a simple thing, but yeah, it's a thing. So there was one on here that I wanted to bring up. GT, what's up, mate? Everybody go and subscribe to GT's channel. He just did a cover of Rust, which is awesome, on the new PRS he got. Congrats on the new guitar, mate. And is it Diwali at the moment as well? In which case, happy Diwali. I've been seeing things about it. I'm not sure exactly when it is. Thanks. I'm glad you like the new stream layout as well. Yeah. On this, I can feel I've been talking for about 2 hours on here, so only an hour and 45 minutes. So I'm gonna wrap it up. I'm gonna play one more song and say see you to everybody, and I hope everybody has an awesome day. And it's been lovely chatting and learning some new tricks and having some good vibes in here. Hey man, Transcend, you got it, man. Or can time align when they're gone. This is the way. This is the way. It's Happy Diwali today. Happy Diwali, brothers. Exactly. Everybody around the world. Thank you, GT. That's awesome, man. And before I go, I got to get Jason here. Enjoyed the latest Gear podcast, mate. Thank you so much for the tip with StreamYard. It is so much easier. I was doing so much manual work to get our podcasts up on there. So, yeah, and you know, being able to bring the questions up is way easier than me parroting them. So, yeah. This is great. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. And NYC Geology bought a Call McCarty. There you go. There you go, mate. They're very, very nice guitars, aren't they? You gotta get a DGT next. So, yeah, man, StreamYard is sick. Absolutely sick. So, alrighty. I'm gonna play one more Ragdoll song. I might do. What am I gonna do? Hey, GT, since you did the cover of Rust, I'm gonna do Rust for you. All right. Have a great day, everybody. I got one more for you.